This is Hardball with Chris Matthews, March 22nd, 2019.
I want to bring in U.S. Congressman Ted Lieu of California, who sits on the House Judiciary Committee and joins me by phone. Congressman, what do you think is the thinking behind the leadership in both houses on the Democratic side about not having the president get a sneak preview? That was their term.
Thank you, Chris, for the question. Let me first say that today is a historic, proud day for America. Despite multiple attempts by the president to stop this investigation, Robert Mueller and his team were able to complete it. And the fact that he kept his job and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein kept his job, I think shows the strength and vitality of our institutions. So let's not lose sight of that. In terms of the report, the American public and Congress should see the entire report. If it's classified, if there are portions that are classified, Congress should see it, and we should not have any interference from the White House before we see the full report.
Well, back to my question. What's the concern about the president getting a look before the rest of the country does at this report?
The concern that it would be that they would tamper with it, that they would put pressure on Attorney General Bill Barr to not release certain portions or to redact certain portions of the report, and that would be unacceptable.
What do you said this report was a conclusion, but my question is it wasn't really conclusive because they never interviewed under oath the president. And we were told for weeks by experts in prosecution, you have to get to motive when it comes to obstruction. You have to figure out what the person says who's being investigated. And we've never gotten a on the record, under oath interview, interrogation, I think is a better word for it, of the president, ever.
That is correct. I'm a former prosecutor. It would have been really great if Donald Trump was courageous enough to do an interview, but he's not required to as a target of an investigation. He could simply clam up and not say anything if he wanted to. So there was no legal formal requirement.
Why did Bill Clinton accept? Why did Bill Clinton have to be taped for the American people about Monica? He had to go through that humiliation of being asked all about it on television, basically, for all of us to see. And this president skips town.
Bill Clinton could have asserted his Fifth Amendment rights. He did not have to do that. He chose to do it. I would have hoped Donald Trump would have chosen to testify the way that Bill Clinton did, but he didn't have to do it legally.
What's the next step? I mean, you've got the Congress decides on impeachment. The Speaker said it's off the table. Is it back on the table or still off the table? Where's impeachment? It's now March, late March. Is it something that's going to come up in the next couple months or not?
Right. So the mission of Special Counsel Mueller is fairly narrow, right? He's looking at whether he can get enough evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that someone committed a federal crime. The committees in Congress have a much broader mission. We want to know, did Donald Trump, his family, or his associates commit any crime, whether or not it was related to Russia? Second, did they engage in any ethical misconduct, whether or not it rose to the level of a crime? And third, how do we keep this from happening again, and how do we explain this to American people? So our investigations are going to continue. Based on what we find, we'll have a conversation with American people and decide should we go forward or not with impeachment, but we don't have enough of a record to decide that question yet.
What's winning right now, the case for impeachment or the case against it? What's winning as of tonight?
I don't think we have enough facts to go forward with impeachment. We first of all, we need to see the entire report of Mueller as well.
I always want you on. Congressman Ted Lieu of California. I'm going to bring in now Congressman Roger Krishnamurti of Illinois. He sits on both the House